just wanted to say a few things about how thinkSRSD has impacted Pine Grove. Ultimately, it comes back to the students, but it has really provided a framework for teachers to take risks as writers themselves and also as instructors of writing, which I think has been something that has not been a resource that has been plentiful in a long time. We're super blessed in Douglas County to have so many great resources, and this is just kind of the cherry on top, which it's really providing teachers with a way to help students own their own learning, and it doesn't just live in writing. I think that's the beauty of it, is that it's really interdisciplinary and it can be really leveraged to almost any subject. Students are super excited about writing time and they don't want it to end. And I think it's because they know they can do it.
This year we've really embraced thinkSRSD with the help of Janet and Tracy. We also have 2 teacher leaders at our building that have come to the trainings. We've just really dived in. We like to say we're spoon feeding our staff a little bit at a time. So we've partnered with Tracy. She's coming to our school quite a bit and meeting with teachers during the PLT process and just guiding them on this SRSD journey. What's really neat about it is I think teachers are loving that there's a framework and a kind of a guide that they can follow, but along adding in that extra teacher support has been very helpful. So we have our teacher leaders going in, they're modeling in classrooms, they are co-teaching with teachers and kind of like doing a gradual release of, all the elements of the framework.
So last year at Sage Canyon, we started with thinkSRSD, and where we started with looking at the gist and do what. And one of the first things that I noticed with just doing that little bit is when our 4th and 5th graders took CMAS, I was collecting their scratch paper and I could see that they had written gists and do what on their paper, most of them. I also noticed that they took more time on their CMAS tests than they have in the past. And I think it's because just that little bit gave them the power to even know how to start to write to a prompt. So that got us really excited with the teachers, the students. They were already kind of bought into it then. And then this year we kind of moved forward a little bit more. We continued on with the gist, we continued on with the do what. Students had a little bit of that familiarity, and as well as teachers. And so we knew that it had made some impact, but we weren't sure quite yet what the whole journey looked like. So then this year we've kind of seen full pictures. So we've been able to go through all of POW and then start TIDE. And so we are starting to see, again, that confidence in our students, the confidence that our teachers have, which is phenomenal. They've all said, I never knew how to teach writing before.
We started really slow this year. We kind of took it piece by piece because we felt like our teachers needed to really get good at one step before moving on to the next one. And I think that was where we had most of our success. They could kind of go through each process, try it out in their classroom, and then we could come back together and talk about it and what was going well, what did they still have questions on. We've seen some great things so far this year. It's been really exciting.
Well, at Sand Creek last year, we really started focusing on thinkSRSD as one of our priority learning focuses for the whole school, because we noticed with literacy, with our scores and everything, that we really needed to figure out a strategy that could be applied to our current curriculum. I think that what was great about implementing SRSD last year was that we were able to see how it fit right into Wonders. That's the curriculum that we use, and that our teachers were able to apply it to the writing lessons that they were already planning for. One of the things that we learned last year was that we were trying to go too fast. So one of the great things is that we were able to just modify it for what we needed, even by grade level. Like our different PLC teams had to work together to collaborate and discuss where they were at. This year, what was great was at the beginning of the year, one of our teams decided that they would just give a blanket gist statement as kind of like a pre-assessment. And then what they could do is they could identify which parts of the gist even that the students were not getting. And then they then took that data and that's what they applied to their small group time to be able to focus in on that. And then they were able to do a post-assessment to see after the next cycle, about 3 weeks later, they were able to do another assessment with GIST and then move along that way. That's been very successful, just to scale it back and really hone in onto the specific strategies and whether or not students were learning it.
Well, we've actually tried several different frameworks over the years, but I think people were just kind of pulling from wherever they could, the knowledge that they had, where they had been trained. So we needed a framework to bring us all together and be on the same page. So started in the fall, just rolling out SRSD just very slowly. We gave an overview of what it is, and then just started with the gist and the do what to get people started using across content area, not just in writing, and how could they just start having that common language with students in everything they do.
We kind of just brought in that first just statement section of it to our whole staff. It was probably a 45-minute presentation, and we let them kind of do the work. We gave them all the materials, so it was very much plug and play in their classrooms. Here's something new, let's just go try it. That generated some interest. And so now our writing committee is really wanting to dig in, get more training. 2 of them are planning to go in January to the training. And that's kind of where we are. Very slow, letting the teachers sort of guide it and get that buy-in before we sort of say, here, go do something new.
Another thing that I've loved about SRSD and what it's brought to Arrowwood, it's servicing all of our population of learners. They are able to really find their little thing that they enjoy instead of just having to dive right in and write something, which can often be a trigger for some of our students. It's become an actual process, structured process that they feel success in writing. Paired with the Wonders reading curriculum, it's also been great for our teachers on that side with the planning because they just align so perfectly. So really being able to do that whole literacy approach with reading and writing going hand in hand has been an awesome experience. And we're super excited about continuing our year and growing in thinkSRSD.
I think it's very easy and common for us to want to just jump right into the strategy, but how important it is to really teach our students to have that positive self-talk. Because writing can be so intimidating for many students. It can cause a lot of anxiety. And for them to be able to start with, I can do this, I know how to write, or whatever their self-talk statement's gonna be. One of our teachers this year started off the year by taking individual photographs of their students and had them write out their individual self-talk. And it is on a bulletin board in their classroom where the student's picture is there with a bubble, speech bubble coming out with their self-talk in it. I've actually seen and observed her refer students to that when needed, which is really encouraging to see that because you can see that it boosts their confidence to then be able to go sit back down and get to work on the rest of the writing strategies. Right now, we are moving along into the power cycle at our school. What's been fabulous and very helpful is we've really relied a lot on our curriculum instruction and assessment department, especially Tracy and Janet, to come out to offer professional development, to offer training, to model lessons for teachers, to have that collaborative relationship has been very important for all of our different teams at our school.
So a few things that we're seeing, and it varies from grade level to grade level, but the teachers that just kind of jumped in and tried it, I think have had the most success. Whereas some teachers maybe have, let's take it, let's modify it a little bit, or let's just try little pieces in it. I feel like if you're not really giving it a go, you're not going to see the full potential. That's kind of the experience that we're having. One of my favorite moments has been in a 3rd grade classroom. We did a couple weeks of co-teaching because I think it's important for me as a PLS to go in and teach it as well, because then you can really see how it works. I had a little 3rd grader, they were sitting down together looking at the rubrics and going through each other's papers, and they were helping each other as their partners. And one little boy was like, you only have 1 yellow. And he was like, oh, I gotta go back and add another yellow. And he ran back to his desk and he filled out another idea, and he came back, he's like, okay, I've got all my parts. Just that sequence of the color coding. Do you have all, your T, do you have all your I's, your D's, your E? that's really holding them accountable. And that's what it's all about. You're teaching them explicitly the process, the writing process, which I think we haven't had that for so many years in Douglas County. And the kids can see it and they can do it and they know, oh, I'm missing something, I have to go back in and add it. So that was one really special moment. I was so proud of that kiddo because he was one of our kind of behavior issues. And you're like, is he really listening? Oh, he was listening, right? So because he was holding, and his partner was holding him accountable. So that was one of my favorite stories from one of our third grade teachers this year.
And so just the confidence that it has brought and the conversations that we get from students now when we're using our resources that we have from Benchmark, we're really tapping into that rigor and that higher level thinking and producing writers.